Hello ladies and gentlemen, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to the channel. So on the docket for today we have this little movie and it's called Love Shot, and at the time that I'm recording this it is on Netflix and I'm sure you can rent it every which way somewhere on the internet. And it looks semi-interesting, so I decided, hey, why not? Let's take a watch. So as I'm watching it, it's very apparent that there's some things about this movie that are just extremely pedestrian and not very well done. But at the same token, I wouldn't be so quick to call it a bad movie because there are some very enjoyable things in it. So I think it's safe to say that this movie maybe bit off a little more than it could chew, and maybe it was a little cocky. It's almost like the people that made this movie are really big Shane Black fans, but they only saw like one of his movies. The basic plot is it's about a guy who's a hitman and he's hired to kill this very particular woman. But of course, this gentleman happens to have met this woman earlier on in the movie, and now they have a connection, or so he thinks. And then he ultimately decides that he's not going to carry out the job, which, you know, causes a little turmoil between him and his bosses. And normally if you don't do what a mafia boss asks you to do, not that I'm an expert, but I mean, usually I could imagine that doesn't go very well. So the movie's just like a fun little romp trying to figure out how to deal with that situation. Now, the opening of this movie actually looked pretty promising. I had like pretty high hopes after the first like 5 minutes of the movie because it looked cool. Or not that it looked cool, but the dialogue was very snappy, and it was very, like, as I said, it was very reminiscent of a Shane Black movie. And that opening scene basically shows you a rival gangster and his little henchman talking about something that just happened. And the scene was done very well. The dialogue was good. The chemistry between the two people was very good. The camera angles were fine considering the, you know, the scenario. And overall, the scene was kind of funny, so I'm like, okay, this is a good start. I can see where we're going here. And that was probably the strength of the movie, is a lot of the chemistry between, you know, particular characters here and there. That all worked pretty well for me personally. And the dialogue was fine. I would say the acting is good for about 70 to 80% of it. Towards the later bit in the movie, it kind of started to fall off. Particularly the female lead in the movie. She felt kind of flat, like, towards the later half of the movie. And the movie looked good, like the cinematography was good, the lighting was all good, but it was just like, from a narrative standpoint, the movie just, it fell off in a lot of different places. Like, first of all, you have to come up with a narrative reason for me to believe why this guy would basically put his entire life and or job on the line so that this one chick could live. And it could have been something as small as like 3 lines of dialogue, like maybe this guy has seen this girl like at a cafe or something regularly for the past like 2 years and he's always had a crush on her, and then like this whole thing comes to a head. But that's not what happened. Their first meeting is very brief, and it felt rushed. And that's how a lot of things in the movie felt to me. It seemed almost as though there was maybe 20 to 30 minutes of missing footage in the movie, and they could have re-edited this movie into something awesome, but it ended up there was just pockets of things that just didn't really quite flow very well. Which to me is a little bit of a bummer, because it's kind of nice when you just randomly stumble across a movie and it turns out to be a gem, but this movie didn't quite live up to that. In other words, this movie felt like somebody who claims to have a college degree, but then again, they only went to college for like 2 years. But in those 2 years, they maintained a 4.0, so there's actually some type of merit in there. But anyway, guys, overall, I would say this movie, it bit off just a little bit more than it could chew, but I feel like there's a lot of potential for greatness from pretty much everybody involved with the project. So I think based on all that, I'm not gonna say don't go see this movie, but I'm not like, you know, fawning over it either. So I think for score out of 10, I think I'm gonna give it a 5.0, so I'm going neutral. There's a little bit of dopeness in this movie, there's also a little bit of whackness, and perhaps some people will lean one way or the other. I personally am just kind of falling in the middle. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you seen this movie? Have you heard of it? Hop in the comments, let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this review, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all that other happy horse shit. And I'll catch you guys next time.